What's your everything's a dildo, if you're brave enough story? Stuffed animals as a kid. Hairbrush ends. Stick-like components of toys. I was a strange little girl. Gave the stuffed animal I used most a little pat yesterday, though I haven't scarred it for life for many years. I've always been curious about the stuffed animal thing that tons of girls seem to try. I get the hairbrush and stuff because of their shape, but how did you figure out how to use a stuffed animal that way? The animal has a tail, and at the end of the tail it's more bulbous, I guess. It was like a tiny soft flaccid penis. Mostly would just stuff it in and pretend this is what sex is like. Used a deodorant can when I was about 14. I was dumb and put the lid side in first. The lid got stuck up there. I panicked, thinking, oh my god, what do I tell my parents? I have to go to hospital. Then I realized that people birth babies. So I birthed a deodorant lid. I was relieved. Icicles get sharper as they melt. Would not recommend. Lol. I would have never thought of this. At a certain point, are you just numb from the ice? And yeah, pointy eye sounds very painful. My father once walked in on me using the Christmas place setting candles as a dildo. I was on my stomach ducking one with another up my ass, which I'm sure looked interesting, since it was so long. I heard a whoa, holy shit, come from my father's mouth as he immediately closed the door. Was there awkward dinner that night and an even more awkward Christmas dinner that year? The squiggle wiggle pen was my first vibrator. I was talking to this girl a while back and ended up watching TV in her room with her. I casually picked up this thick macute brush on her nightstand and start playing with it. She giggles at me and says, you may not want to play with that. It has been places. We joked about it for a few minutes before she starts naming all the random items around her room that had passed the test. This girl had masturbated with, other than the macute brush, a hairbrush, a big pencil, the head or a wine bottle she was keeping because the label was pretty, a tube of glue, the remote control to her DVD player, multiple candles, all of her pillows, the footboard of the bed, and the chair of her desk. I was amazed. A bowling pin. This is next level. Did you work your way up? Which way did it go in? I need answers. Started with the top of, and could only get the head and neck in. I used a metal chair leg multiple times. Was it still attached to the chair? Yes. I had to get a little creative with the positioning, but it worked. Tried to test that saying. Ended up using multiple water bottles, Sharpies, thermos, practice butterfly knife, assortment of fruit/veg, shampoo bottles, pens, pencils, deodorant cans and probably a few more, not counting body parts. Taped up a hairbrush handle and turned it into a discreet dildo. Even after it started to smell I still used it. Also the neck of a wine bottle. It was a shape that was easy to hold and it could only go so far if I got carried away. Man, I put a lot of her inside me when I was younger. Metal thermometer tube. Bud stuff. You know, it was all I could find at the time. Zucchini. What did you do with it afterwards? Sold it to a family with 4 little kids. I'm 100% convinced that most macute brushes/containers or whatever are shaped for pleasure. Any smart designer would spot the chance for increased sales. So little girls are just as gross as little boys. Myth shattered. We all figure it out eventually. Women are horny AF. They're just more selective about who they touch naughty bits with than guys. On average. Women are so lucky. All they need to get off is a hard, blunt object. This weird little plastic stick I found that I feel like once belonged to a toy of some kind. It was extremely thin, but long. I remember using it as a testing grounds as a young teen, before I was finally old enough to get me a toy of my own. It still sits on my windowsill to this day. Aquarium light bulb not screwed in OBS. I was 11 and had no concept that it could break and cause all kinds of bad things. One of those tubes of bubbles that a younger cousin of mine had left behind from a family trip, like the long, skinny tubes with a big handle. I was 12 and I was starting to experience those new feelings. I decided one day that the best way to release these feelings was to put a glue stick in a place it shouldn't be. When I pulled it out, the cap did not come with it and it was stuck there. I pushed trying to give birth to it. I succeeded, but damn, I was dumb as duck. Threw that marker away and I've held on to so much shame for years. I was sincerely scared a glue stick cap was going to be stuck in my cooter for the rest of my life. I don't know if I should still feel embarrassed, since I'm sure there are worse stories, but I do feel stupid. Basically, 4 girls, don't underestimate our ability to jibber a dildo out of about anything. If it's kind of round, semi-smooth, and hopefully smaller than our forearm, it is fair game. Also, we've probably rubbed our bits on everything in the house. Pillows, chair arms, stair railings, washing machine, edge of table, dolls, peppercorn grinder, Jetson tube, running water, hula hoop, Jesus on the cross, banana plus tube sock plus condom, glass cigar container, dangerous loving. My friend told me about how she used to stick Barbie dolls inside of herself. For her sake, I hope it was feet first. Nerf Reddiculous for grip. A tad too big. No blood, but it was more pain than pleasure. It's Nerf or nothing. The handle end of a hammer. Would not recommend. The grip's texturing fills up with lady juices. Curved nail polish bottle gave me amazing orgasms. One day the lid was a little bit unscrewed and I didn't notice at first. Just so you'll know, nail polish burns like a methodica in the wrong places. The plastic toilet plunger handle at my parents' house when I was about 14. My friend was just telling me about an experience at a hotel with the paper towel roll holder. Seems that everything in a hotel that can fit inside a body has probably been inside someone at one point. Glade room freshener can with a condom. Best and probably only vaginal orgasm I've ever had. When I was 9, I used a pen because I couldn't find anything bigger that I wasn't scared of. After watching porn for a year, I really wanted to try some anal stuff because all those girls seemed to love it. Put a marker up my butt without any lube whatsoever. Sat there for a minute and decided it wasn't for me and put the marker back. OMG, I still remember watching my dad in horror while he wrote with the marker I forgot to clean up. Oral-B toothbrush. Take off the brush head and it makes a really powerful and not super loud vibrator too. And it still works after 14 years. Damn. As a dude, this really enlightened me. A flashlight that was way too thick. A lesson to be learned from all these stories. Parents of young girls, get them an actual dildo and some lube at 13 to 14. Don't make a thing about it. They'll probably already be using stuff as a dildo. You've let them play safely throughout their lives. Maintain that responsibility. Hairbrush handle. Attempted Sharpie. Handle of razor. After popping the blade off. I made a Lego dildo when I was around 11. It broke off while it was inside me and I had to frantically dig it out of myself because I didn't want to get my parents to take me to the ER. I used to use a handle to my mum's razor. The razor head detached. It vibrated. Nowadays I'm pretty certain any non-sexual ladies products that vibrate are not actually intended for their marketed use. Like, why do you need a vibrating razor? I remember one time my mom cleaned my room for me when I was away at summer camp, and when I got back she was like, for some reason I found my razor handle under your bed. Like, legitimately confused. I was like, huh, that's weird. Ex of mine used a drumstick and had to call me freaking out because she popped her cherry. Put some marbles in a trial glove. Thank God nothing broke. And ends of toothbrushes as well as pull toys. I was a horny child. One day when I was discovering that it can have anal pleasure, I had the bright idea of inserting a PS2 controller in my butt. I started Star Wars The Force Unleashed in the console and went to the first mission. Pressing the choke button while controlling Vader kept the controller vibrating. A second time. You know how soda bottles look before being inflated. A nice dildo for a 10-year-old discovering stuff. Edit. Typo. I hate to admit this, but one night years ago I was drunk and very horny. My husband was at work. I started looking around for something to use. My eyes settled on the hand grips of my elliptical. I balanced myself on a high table and somehow managed to ride it until my legs got too tired. Wasn't worth it. My first girlfriend used a hot dog. That's how we learned what causes yeast infections. My roommate filled a condom with water and froze it. When she went to use it, it got stuck to her. I've used a deodorant can, a hairbrush handle, and marbles. Edit. I also used to hump chairs. I'd sit on them normally and just move back and forwards. I didn't realize what I was actually doing for ages though. I just knew it felt good. Hairbrush handle. Screwdriver. I took a large sausage and put a skewer in it, but not all the way, just enough that the sausage was sturdy. Put a condom over it and it was so fun until I overdid it a bit. English teacher in middle school use to simply hump corner of the desk while teaching. Toothbrush handle up the ass. I used to exclusively use one of those long bubble one tubes. Hey, it got the job done. I've used and will continue to use pretty much everything in my house that will fit. I used an electric toothbrush for the first time a little while ago, and it was the first vibrating thing I've ever used. It was next level. The handle of a plunger. No, I did not clean it. I was young and stupid. I knew two sisters that used Care Bears. Rubbed by a little noises. A foam banana my mum gave me as a joke gift. I'm a guy. Couple of hot dogs wrapped in saran wrap. Stuffed animals. So fuzzy and non-intimidating. I have had a few less than dignified moments where I used a lava lamp for purposes other than watching melty wax in a glass torpedo. Used a toothbrush holder where the two parts you click together met. There was a sharp plastic line. Got some bleeding because of that. Didn't stop me from using it though. Me being a desperate sex deprived teen. Also, every time it used it, I got a new UT. After seeing the causal relationship, I stopped and poof. The uterus magically stopped coming. Sweet potato. Nothing else to add. I've used anything from markers and tampons to those duo sizzler magnets, and on one notable occasion, the squiggly spring doorstop thingy on the wall. You know the one. A little late, but blades, scissors and knives. Apparently this is the first thing my friends tell their friends about me. Thanks pals. In grade 10, I tried to pleasure myself with a test tube which I took from the school science laboratory. Luckily it didn't break. An egg-shaped bedpost in a hotel. What made it even better was the fact that I was pretty sure that other women did use it the same way before, because it was so obvious. Semicolon dash close bracket. The vibrating thing inside of a tickle me Elmo. When I was a kid and discovered anal play, the garlic press we had was the perfect size to play with. No wonder I have a DP fantasy. A plunger handle. And very drunk. The neck of a whiskey bottle. The lengths we'll go to poke a prostate. I wrapped a paper roll in tape and tried to stick it up my ass once. Would worked if I had lube or something. On small festivals I have seen penis-shaped lollipops for a while. I wonder how many people use those. Not me, because those would have been too wide for me. But I don't say I wouldn't try it if there was any thin lollies. Pretty sure I broke my hymen by using the handle of a toilet brush. Anal with a wooden handled plunger as well. That was weird. a flashlight, a wooden cross, stuffed animals, towels, hairbrush handles, handle of an upright vacuum cleaner, bed knob on my grandmother's bed, washing machine drain hose, can of shaving cream, hammerhead and handle, part that hits the nail is ducking cold, toilet brush, flashlight. The amount of times plungers have been mentioned is surprising. I was hanging out with a couple of friends, and one of the guys was talking about how he got nudes from a girl. None of us cared, because we were trying to just have a chill time. But you could tell it was the guy's first time getting nudes. He breaks out his phone, and it's a damn video of her masturbating. Of course, it wasn't a normal thing that you would put up there. It was a damn curling brush, which she was shoving up there with the brush part first. It looked painful as shit and the dude was just ducking grinning about it. Worst thing I have ever seen in my life. Objects I shoved up my ass: a vibrator, dildo, spans, pencils, coins, bubbles, broomstick handler, fishing rod handle, umbrella handler, toothbrush handler, hockey stick handler, finger, small glass jar, test tube, screwdriver handler, stiff cock, cigar, banana. This video was produced by Bruno Porosnik. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.